Are you trying to raise capital right now? It's tough out there. Investors are busier, pickier, and flooded with AI-generated decks. They're skimming fast, bouncing quickly, and only backing a tiny fraction of the founders they meet. We analyzed over 1.3 million investor sessions to see what actually gets a pitch deck read and what gets it closed after slide 1. So, let's break down the 10 most important insights to help you build a deck that earns attention, keeps it, and gets meetings booked. Number 1. Here's the good news. Getting your pitch deck opened isn't the hard part. Most investor decks come after a warm intro or first call, which explains why 81% are started once opened. But starting doesn't mean staying. Most decks still lose readers within the first few slides. And with investors juggling dozens of tabs and distractions, you rarely get a second chance. So yes, they'll open your deck. But whether they stick around? That's the real test. Number 2. Investors don't ease into your story. They scan and quickly decide if they want to keep reading. A full 31% of readers bounce within the first 10 seconds. Another 15% leave before the first minute's up. If you make it past the 60-second mark, attention levels off, but those opening seconds are brutal. It's instinctive. Your first slides need to show confidence, clarity, and momentum. If they don't get that signal immediately, they're moving on. Number 3. You don't need to win the whole pitch in one slide, but you do need to earn the right to tell the rest of the story. 82% of investors who make it to slide 4 read the entire pitch deck. That makes your opening slides critical. Too many founders waste them on vague problem statements or soft intros. Start strong. Use a sharp value proposition, a striking market stat, or a clear and painful problem statement. Your only goal early on is to make them want to keep reading. Number 4. 32% of decks are opened on a mobile device. That alone should be enough to rethink how your pitch reads on a small screen. And despite the smaller screen size, mobile readers aren't just skimming. They spend almost 3.5 minutes on average reading your deck. That's only 29% less than desktop users. These are also high-context sessions, late at night, between meetings, or while your intro email is still fresh. If your deck breaks on mobile, so does the opportunity to get funding. Your pitch deck needs to load fast, scroll smoothly, and land clearly, even on a phone at 10 p.m. in bed. Number 5. Pitch decks with around 10 slides had the highest completion rate, 32% compared to the 22% average. But that doesn't mean every pitch should be 8 slides and done. If your story feels too thin or underdeveloped, investors will notice and drop off. Long decks don't perform well either. Once you pass 18 slides, engagement falls off fast. The best performing decks fall between 10 and 18 slides. That gives you enough space to make your case without turning it into a chore. And remember, investors are often reading your deck on their own. You're not in the room to explain what you really meant on slide 14. So respect their time, make your case clearly, and don't waste attention you haven't earned. Number 6. No two pitch decks are the same, but the best performing ones tend to follow a similar pattern. Client logos showed up in 97% of the top decks we analyzed, and for good reason. It's one of the fastest ways to show traction. 93% of decks included a short About Us section. Even if it's just a few lines, it helps frame the story and build context before diving in. 96% of top decks also made sure to highlight the team, not just names and titles, but why this group is uniquely positioned to win. They also included a service or product overview and usually at least one case study or testimonial to show proof, all of which appeared in over 80% of the strongest decks. But here's where many founders slip up. Only 57% included a clear next step slide, and just 63% showed a project timeline or implementation plan. These are simple additions that go a long way in building investor confidence. You don't need to follow a strict formula, but leaving any of these out means forcing investors to guess or fill in gaps. And in a stack of 20 other pitch decks, most won't bother. Number 7. One of the most common and costly mistakes founders make is ending their pitch with a generic thank you slide. The goal isn't to get someone to read your pitch deck, it's to raise capital. Our data shows that pitch decks with a clear next step, like let's talk or book a meeting, led to 22% more meetings booked than those without one. Too many founders build up a strong case slide by slide, only to hesitate at the final moment. They leave it to the investor to figure out what to do next. But if you don't spell it out, you risk losing momentum you may never get back. So be clear about what happens next. Say how much you're raising, explain what the funds will go toward, and how that capital drives the next stage of your growth. And most importantly, tell them what to do now. Even better, embed your calendar directly in the deck. If they're interested, don't make them search. Let them book a meeting on the spot. Number 8. Of all the slides in your deck, there's one investors keep coming back to, the team slide. It accounts for 43% of total reading time and gets clicked in nearly half of all sessions. Why? Because once they're sold on the idea, they want to know who's going to make it happen. So, make sure your team slide tells a strong, clear story, not just a row of headshots and job titles. Now, contrast that with the About Us slide. It shows up in 93% of top decks, but investors spend just 2 seconds on it, and more than 40% of them skip it entirely. The reason is that most About Us slides are packed with generic mission statements or long bios that don't address what actually matters at this stage of the pitch. Investors want to know your team, but they want to see it in the right place and in the right way, and that's exactly what a well-done team slide delivers. Number 9. Every investor sees hundreds of decks a year. If yours feels like it could have been sent to anyone, it's already at a disadvantage. Our data shows that when founders include the investor's name, their firm's logo, and a short tailored note, engagement jumps by 29%. If you go further and adapt a few slides to reflect the investor's focus or portfolio, that grows to 33%. Combine both approaches, and you're looking at up to 47% better performance. But here's the catch. It only works if it's real. Investors can spot a half-hearted copy-paste a mile away. If your deck could be sent to 20 other firms without changing a word, it's not personalized. It's just polished spam. And if that's how your pitch opens, investors may assume the rest of your execution is just as shallow. If you've already spoken with an investor, consider adding a "what we've heard from you" slide near the top. Summarize what they've told you, their focus, concerns, or investment goals, and show how your story aligns with that. Decks that include this kind of thoughtful touch see 31% more engagement than those that don't. Number 10. Timing is everything in fundraising, and most founders underestimate just how short their window really is. Our data shows that 35% of investor meetings are booked within the first 48 hours of opening the deck. 96% happen within the first week. After that, interest drops off completely. And it makes sense. Investors are busy. If they're excited, they'll act quickly. If they're unsure, your deck gets buried under the next 20 in their inbox. This is where many founders quietly lose the round. They wait, assuming the investor is still thinking it over. But in reality, the moment has already passed. So treat silence as a signal. If you haven't heard back within 3 days, follow up. Send a reminder. Offer to answer questions. Reopen the loop while the interest is still there. Because by week 2, if there's still no reply, it's almost certainly a pass. And that's it. 10 hard data insights on how investors actually read pitch decks these days. If you want to dig deeper, head over to our blog. We break down pitch deck strategy, structure, and design for every funding stage. Or if you're ready to put this into action, check out our gallery of pitch deck templates, each one built around the findings from this research. You can try them out, customize them, and get started for free. Good luck out there, and happy storytelling!